Welcome to Switched On Schoolhouse British Literature. In this half-credit high school language arts elective, your students will study units that cover 5 periods in British literature: the Middle Ages, the 16th century, the 17th and 18th centuries, the 19th century, and the 20th century. As students study each period, they will consider the history of the period and how historical events influenced the authors and poets of the period. Students will take a look at a collection of the period's authors and poets, paying close attention to the background, influencing factors, and significant works of each author. Excerpts taken from each author's collection of work are included in the lessons. Not intended to be a comprehensive literature course, this Alpha Omega literature course provides a thorough overview of the significant periods and writers of British literature. Now let's take a look at a British literature lesson. In a unit entitled The 19th Century, let's look at a lesson called The Late Romantic Era, Jane Austen. Most lessons begin with a brief introduction and a list of goals or objectives for the lesson. These objectives help students stay focused on important lesson content and provide parents with an effective way to measure mastery of lesson content. The goal for this lesson is gain an appreciation for the works of Romantic and Victorian writers. After this introductory material, your student moves independently through the lesson, reading the text-based instruction and utilizing the multimedia features that have been provided. Several helpful tools have been included in Alpha Omega homeschool courses to enhance your students' learning environment and to promote greater understanding for students with a variety of learning styles. Auditory learners may benefit from hearing text read aloud as they follow along. Students select a portion of text and utilize the text-to-speech tool to read the text. A number of customization options allow students to personalize their use of the text-to-speech feature. A highlighting feature allows students to use highlighter colors to highlight important text in the lesson as they study. Highlighted portions are saved when a student leaves the lesson, making it possible for them to come back later to study the highlighted passages. As children study, it's important that they understand that what they're learning fits into a timeline of history. Any linked date or major event within the text of the lesson provides access to an interactive timeline. The timeline provides information about great civilizations, historical eras, significant events, and persons from history. Many lessons include small instructional videos, sometimes called tiny tutors. The teachers featured in these small video clips provide special instructions, additional information, and important tips for students. Let's take a look at this example.
Jane Austen's novels have remained popular for over 200 years. Today, her books are enjoyed by thousands, and you can find board games based on her novels, paper dolls of characters in these novels, and fan websites. Austen's books have also been adapted for television and film. Although merchandising and motion pictures have increased the popularity of Austen in her fiction, her writing endures on its own merit. There are a number of reasons why Jane Austen's novels continue to hold the attention of readers. She created characters that didn't always act or appear to be ideal. Her female heroines were not the most beautiful, but were instead smart and funny. While her novels were set in Regency England, they expose issues of class, politics, and family that resonate today. Austen also explored what resulted when a person, often a female, acted against the expected behaviors of the day. In the end, the depth of Austen's characters and a basic plot structure made her books relevant for readers of all time.
After completing the first section of lesson text, the student moves on to the next section, which provides an excerpt from the author's body of work. In this lesson on Jane Austen, your student will read an excerpt from Pride and Prejudice. A What to Look For box at the top of the page helps guide your student as he studies the excerpt. This introduction provides students with suggestions as to how the work should be studied and interpreted. At the end of the lesson, your student is presented with a series of questions that provide a review of lesson content. If the lesson contains multiple sections, after completing section 1, the student continues to the next section, reading the text-based instruction and answering the remaining questions. Questions are presented in a variety of formats. Answers are automatically saved as the student works through the questions, with 85 to 90% of student work being graded immediately by the program. A student is given the opportunity to reattempt questions that were answered incorrectly the first time through the lesson. The lesson is complete when the student has answered all questions correctly or has exhausted his allowed attempts.